So guys, welcome back to F1 2017 Career Mode. We have some results from the last race, unfortunately, since the whole kind of FOM intro situation for the game. Yeah, it's too much like real life. The whole thing was recorded because I thought I could get around it. It got blocked worldwide, so yes, we kind of don't have that anymore. We don't have the recording, so here are the results. We've got P5 and P9 for Magnussen, so about 12 points there. Pretty good, some surprise results throughout that as well. But before we head into the race as well as the qualifying session, I must add, we switched out two parts. We switched out the MGU-H for a new one since it was pretty worn. It's about, you know, it's a good 40% worn. I want to leave it for practice if I can, and also the internal combustion engine I will switch out. Want to save that for practice, just making sure that the engine doesn't wear a lot. So before we get into the race, let's take a quick look at the grid ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's Kimi Raikkonen who beats Mercedes to grab pole position, Lewis Hamilton starting in P2, Sebastian Vettel in P3, joined closely by Lance Stroll, the first time the rookie Canadian has gotten to the second row this season. P5 goes to the other Finner Valtteri Bottas, P6 to Ricciardo and his teammate Verstappen lines up P7 with a great qualifying from the Red Bull squad. P8 goes to Felipe Massa and the other Williams, significantly slower than his teammate. P9 goes to the first Haas of Kevin Magnussen with an excellent qualifying, and the first Force India of Esteban Ocon lines up in P10. Julian Palmer this time beating his teammate by setting a time to grab P11, and Daniel Kvyat in P12, the first Toro Rosso, once again beating his teammate. P13 goes to Sergio Perez, P14 to Nico Hülkenberg. Sainz makes up P15 and myself makes up P16 with a very bad qualifying initially due to severe engine issues during the qualifying session. P17 goes to Pascal Wehrlein and P18 to the other Sauber of Ericsson, and the two McLaren Hondas, Fernando Alonso and Stoffel van Dorn, round off the grid.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece. Good luck.
So we did have some issues in qualifying with regards to time and pace, since our components, like some of the other components that we didn't switch out, got a little bit more worn, so that kind of has a knock-on effect on the engine. But nonetheless, we start very way down the grid. In fact, we performed below the objective. So since our race pace was good in Australia, starting low down the grid really doesn't worry me. As you can see, I'm just changing my strategy here to go for a two-stop with a soft tyre stint first and then a super soft at the end. Kinda makes sense, low fuel and maximum pace at the end really does help. It worked in Australia, why can't it work here? But yeah, I'm not really concerned about fuel as such, just I don't want to run with the exact amount. I can't really save fuel around here since I did the fuel saving test, it didn't really work. So putting a little bit of extra fuel in to use on the straights so I don't have to manage the fuel. But we are heading to the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights, quickly, lights out, away we go. And Sainz gets a really bogged down start. In fact, the two Renaults are getting bad starts. Perez got a good one. Now as we go into turn 1, what can we do here? Go down the inside of Daniel Kvyat. We've got some contact there with Kvyat ourselves, and Verstappen just jumps over the curb, slows down our teammate. We try to look round the outside. Now it's going to be momentarily 3 wide going down into turn number 4, I believe. And as we go down the inside, we've got Lance Stroll on our outside, battling pretty hard, and as you can see, holding it round the outside, turning to the inside for the next corner. We managed to fend him off for P6. So that's a pretty good start. We made up 10 places. And we're not even out the first sector, but here's a replay on board Kvyat. Let's see what I did here, and I just go down the inside. That caused Kvyat to crash into the Force India. And I think that was probably Perez, I believe. But on lap 3, settling down after the immense gain we had in sector 1 and 2, going on to lap 4, we can actually close up to the back of Massa. We have DRS, of course it's enabled on lap 3 of the race. Straight line speed, got the rich revs as you can see, trying to catch him, but you see, as you can see, the Mercedes powered Williams is really good in a straight line. But down the inside under braking, we had Massa there, and as we go for a little switch back, it kind of goes a little bit wrong with a little bit of oversteer. Lance Stroll is capitalising on my mistake by trying to catch up, so what we do is go defensive, and somehow that turns into a move going down the inside of Massa to take P5 and just fending him off there, just cutting back aggressively, just to kind of deter him from actually making a move on us. So yeah, lap 4, not too bad at all. We're right behind the Ferraris, which is really weird, but on the next lap, Massa tries to actually make a move. I go defensive into turn 1, and at that point I do slow him up, which is fantastic. And on the next lap after that, he tries again, this time going to the inside. I push him wide and cut back onto the racing line to defend against Stroll, of course, and Massa doesn't quite make the move stick, but then he tries to get challenged by Stroll and luckily holds it round the outside. So at this point I literally ran all the way to lap 9 on these super softs, and I was first because everyone else had pitted, so it's time to come in for our next stint, which is the soft tyre. So all the other cars are on newer tyres. The Ferraris we don't really need to bother about as such. We just need a good pit stop. That's all we need to try and get ahead of Stroll and Massa, of course, because they're the two cars we're fighting early on in the race. Of course, Van Dorn is in P6. I believe he has yet to pit, so I'm not really concerned at this point, but Stroll just about joins ahead of us. So the overcut that we tried to do didn't work, so Stroll and Massa obviously went for the undercut, because technically they pitted way before me. They pitted about 2-3 laps before me, so for some reason they're going onto a set of supers. Well, a Stroll is on a set of super softs, so he's going to have degradation issues. But then on lap 11 we have Max Verstappen, of course, who has actually made his pit stop, fell way down the field, is now battling through the field along with his teammate Ricciardo, who's actually behind us. And yeah, I'm trying to kind of hold Ricciardo up in a way. I don't want to just let him past. I want to maintain my pace. If he can overtake me, so be it, I'll let him, especially on this straight. I mean, the detection point's coming up now. Ricciardo's going to get DRS. I'm probably going to get DRS on Verstappen as well. Maybe just, maybe not, who knows. In fact, we do get DRS, that's lucky. So we can kind of defend against Ricciardo at this point. But as you can see, he just looks down the inside there. He really isn't getting the speed. He's got a Renault-powered engine, remember. And we have the Ferrari engine. We can maintain our position through there, but as you can see, it's not really affecting me as such for a race. But then on the lap after, Ricciardo makes a move down the inside. I decide to lift off a tad to allow Ricciardo past, and as you can see I went to the inside there just to try and get the slipstream. I wasn't looking for a move, just trying to keep the pace, really, just trying to lose not a lot of time there. So lap 20, it's been a really boring race, I'll be quite honest. Bahrain's terrible for it. We're in P5, the other cars are on medium tyres, and we're coming in for our final stint on the super softs. And yes, we have to try and get out once again ahead of Stroll and Massa, and hopefully we can get out ahead of Stroll in particular, because we were on the soft tyres. He was on the super softs. He would have had to come in early, and in fact he did. So where does that put us? Massa's on the medium tyres, so he's got a different strategy, and Stroll is on the super softs. Okay, I can probably deduce from that he started on the soft then. It's the only kind of explanation. But we just come out behind Massa. Sainz, remember, Sainz, who had a really good start, he's in P10. So it's kind of the other way around now. Sainz is on the back end of the points, I'm in front of him. It's a completely different kind of story to Australia. We had to catch Massa. Unfortunately, it's lap 29. I did end up catching Massa at one point by I was only a second behind him, but then obviously the pace of these tyres kind of shone, and the tyre wear was a big factor, and we couldn't catch up to him, and in fact the gap's now 4 seconds. We managed to get a gap to Ocon, who found his way past Sainz. So it's a pretty good race, I'd say. It's a points finish. I'll take points, of course, given the position I was in, but you know, P9, no threat from Ocon, it's safe to say. P9, not bad at all. What a result. In fact, the team will be pleased with that. They want us to be consistent. We are scoring points. We scored points in China. but we scored points in Australia. We only beat Australia by like 1 point. That was it. We beat our like first points finished by 1 point, so it's kind of consistent. China was a little bit of weird with strategies and such, but you know, there you go. We've got the podium. We've got Kimi winning, no surprise, and Vettel and Bottas. So there you go. There's the final results. And yes, Magnussen just misses out on points, which is kind of disappointing. I really need him to be scoring points if I am to help Haas get up the table. But in terms of my championship, it's good. It's good. We've got another 2 points. It's not too bad. And in fact, no one retired from that race, which was rather odd. No safety car or a virtual safety car either. But P9 in the championship, only 4 points behind Ocon. In fact, Verstappen outscored us, so he obviously jumps 2 positions, quite surprisingly. Kimi Raikkonen obviously out in the lead by 33 points over Hamilton. That's no surprise given the pace. Magnussen is in 14th, obviously with 2 points that he got in China, but Sergio Perez just ended up getting more points, which was, yeah, he got points. That was the thing. That was the critical thing. But we are 6th in the championship. Williams have dropped down, and now we're on 20 points. So Force India is kind of like much better than the Williams car. In fact, we will be battling Toro Rosso, Williams, and Force India. Those are the kind of 3 teams that will be battling throughout this career mode, because their pace is so similar. In fact, the performance chart doesn't even kind of accurately represent that. The performance chart says we're below like the other teams. We're like just above. I think we're just above like Renault or something. I don't know, but we are leading the rivalry over our teammate with the fastest lap by quite a margin, and also with our higher position. The rep bar isn't really too great for Williams. Williams don't like us very much after, well, I know why. We ended up battling with Williams a lot. We ended up having contact most of the time, but you know, it's Mercedes that have got quite a big gain there. So the top team of Mercedes is kind of showing more of an interest than the others at us at this point in the career mode. So we have our R&D in progress. Of course, it failed the first time, by the way. It was disappointing, but now we spent more resource points on getting that upgrade developed, hopefully for Russia. We need it because the aero's disgusting. In fact, it's the worst aero, yet we can still finish ahead of Toro Rosso and McLaren. Monaco's going to be like the deciding factor in like all the aero and such. Obviously, we don't have really any resource points to spend in the major development areas. Durability, I'm kind of holding off on a little bit, but I don't really know at this point what to do. Just going to save the resource points, and then I'm going to decide from there. But that's going to be it from me. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you have, subscribe for more content, and I shall see you all next time.